You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Oh, we couldn't get Kyle to do it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Minute to Skim It. Jay and I were trying. Where Kyle just woke up from a nice nap. And he got to read all the
Actually, I
books.
just woke up from trying to find the perfect pico de gallo recipe, but yeah, nap before that.
You cut up mangoes.
No.
Don't knock it till you can try it.
No. I hate mango.
Pineapple.
Also, no. Pineapple's not a food. Doesn't belong on a pizza. Doesn't belong in my mouth.
Pineapple is so metal, though, because it eats you while you eat it.
Nope.
It's true. It's
Nope.
What's your
all right.
favorite? What's your favorite pico recipe?
I don't know.
You got out.
That's the problem. I don't know.
No, I was asking everybody else. Someone else has got a good pico recipe.
If you have a good pico recipe, throw it in the comments. But if it has any melon or basically any fruit at all, leave it out.
Ugh, I can't
Except for tomatoes, because tomatoes are technically a fruit, and you have to have tomatoes. But like, you know what I mean. Should we just get into it? Because otherwise, I'm going to sit here thinking about food because I'm very hungry.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
You get to go first. Woohoo! All right. So you guys know how I'm always talking up Mark Russell because he's got 2 books to get to read this week, and is amazing in all respects in his writing skills because he writes characters you really actually care about. This one's kind of interesting because I feel like this idea has been kind of tackled in other books in different ways, but probably not this way. So this deals with a character who has been in a coma for 22 years and comes out to find himself in a society that is really kind of ruled by social media standing. So everyone wears a collar around their neck that has an up arrow and a down arrow on it. And you basically live your life trying to please other people or figure out how to get them to give you an upvote. This is kind of like if you like Community, the beans experiment. And it's really cool, like how he tries really hard to figure out how to live in this new world. So it's different than it's already hard to be in a coma and wake up in a new kind of world as it's moved on past you. But this is even more difficult because if people perceive that you're trying to get an upvote, there could be a downvote. But if you get down to your last vote, your head explodes. So, and people don't.
It's like an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
they did this. They did this on an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and people will, if they see you're on your last one, sometimes they'll just do it just because they can. So it's really following this one guy. And there's a fairly good twist at the end of the first issue. And it's cool. So don't get death ratioed.
It's not a one shot?
Not as far as I can tell. It must be a really
because it says
end. Oh, it says one shot. Okay, well, it ends in a way that they could do more if they wanted to, I suppose.
I suppose that's probably what they're trying to do. Let's see how this one goes, and then if it goes, Mark Russell will do more.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Okay. We're going to have Alex Packnadell on a show at some point in the next few weeks to talk about this book.
Okay.
Just letting everybody know now. This book is literally the definition of cute but stabby. And it's more stabby than it is cute. But just know the whole book looks like this cover. So think about how cute that cover looks and imagine a world where there's more stabby. Like so many heads getting chopped off. So many people just being cut in half.
Oh my.
Wild. So in this book, our main character is a lamb who I don't fully understand the lamb's power. I could see that, John. I don't really understand the lamb's power. He's a special lamb. But he winds up getting sacrificed to by this weird cultic religion. And when he dies, the thing that the cult worships, I can see that too, but basically says, "Look, I don't like the cult that actually did this to you. So if you agree to my terms, I will give you back your life, plus my power to go and start another cult." And the lamb goes, "Can I use your power to get revenge on the people who killed me?" And he goes, "Absolutely. That's kind of the point." And so it just gets super stabby. And then the lamb is like, "Oh, I don't know. And they're going, "But you have to." And it just gets crazier. I will say this. And again, I want to talk to Alex Packnadell about this. It's a little verbose. I don't think it needs to be as wordy as it is. Like, it's telling a lot of story when it could have maybe spread that story out over a couple of issues. You know, sometimes I complain the first issues don't tell me enough, and sometimes I complain they tell me too little. This one, or don't tell me too much, or don't tell me enough. This one told me way too much. Like, this could have been a 3-issue arc just here, and would have been perfectly based. So I loved it. It was great. Maybe my favorite book this week. However, I've read Neil Gaiman books with less words. And if you read Neil Gaiman, you know he puts all the words in. So it's something to be cognizant of.
I understand this is based on a popular video game?
I believe it is. So that Massive Monster and Devolver are both video games.
Ooh, awesome. Okay, so far in Ultimate Spider-Man, the issues have focused in a lot on Pete and his kind of like progression into deciding to become Spider-Man, and or relationship stuff involving, you know, the parents or, you know, aunts, etc. This focuses in on the bad guys. So it's definitely got a lot about Harry in it, which is interesting, and the development of new armor, which you can see on the front cover. So that's not spoilery. It's sitting right there. But this continues to be super dope. Really loving this whole universe as it kind of like rounds out. This is a good time to remind y'all that there is another title that's coming out that's called Ultimates, that your LCS had to order number 2 today ahead of number 1 even hitting the stands. So it'd be real dope if you know, sent them a message and said that you wanted to add it to your pulls, like you just want to be all Ultimate titles. so that they can get their order in by the end of the day to make sure you get number 2, because LCSs tend to order less number 2s with the idea that maybe the drop off is pretty high after number 1, just for people. Everyone tries number 1, not everyone sticks around for number 2. So make sure you let them know.
Okay. Not a ton to say about this one. It's a team up with Sky and Bell. They're helping this evil family find this magical flower, and apparently Bell is wearing a cursed necklace that the family is using in like an Ella Enchanted kind of way, except for it's obey or die an excruciating death. Uh, they travel to this pocket dimension with a member of said family. They end up fighting these swamp zombies, and then there's a double cross, then a triple cross, and then a big monster eats someone, and that's where it ends. If you're a fan of this part of the Zenoscope universe, I think you'll enjoy this. For me, the art's good, the story's okay, and don't take this as me dogging this book, but Zenoscope is the company that I read when I'm kind of wanting to get away from superhero stuff for a little bit. This part of the universe doesn't necessarily appeal to me. I like Cindy and I like Van Helsing, but the rest of it just isn't for me. And as Kyle says, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. So if you enjoy this, by all means, keep getting it. I'll stick with the grim fairy tales of old because I'm the old man that way. This one will be for you. If you've enjoyed the grim fairy tale stuff in this superhero like form, you're gonna enjoy this one. Like, I didn't dislike this, but it's just not my cup of tea. I liked it enough though. I don't regret reading it, and it's only 22 pages, so it's not like it was one of these 64, 84, 1,094 page things that Zenoscope sometimes puts out. So if you like the grim fairy tale stuff, just keep reading it. That's all I got on this one.
Real quick, before Miss Jen jumps in, John, Oni Press is doing a pretty good job lately. Just get ready. There's some stuff coming, conversations I'm having that I'm very excited about. Third quarter 2024.
Yeah, they're killing it. All right, there are 2 Blood Hunt titles this week. I'm doing the review for both of them. So Midnight Suns kind of get you into all of the members of what they might have to form a team to be able to fight this coming evil. So remember, there's like a big demon goddess that is black in the sky and released bunches of bloodsuckers onto the earth all over. I think that it's probably too late for me to say that you guys need to cover your ears for spoilers, because like Blade is the big bad, so just I think you've probably figured it out by now. It's still very unclear to me from the storytelling whether is Blade really the big bad, or is he playing an angle for his own good? Is he been brainwashed? I don't know. There's some really cool stuff. He's got the blood of a god in Thor that he's been suckling from, so he's a pretty powerful guy. And this one, of course, gets you into the you need what do you do if you have a penance stare against a vampire? I don't know. Does that work? Do they care about hearing all their other bad? So this one's great, but it's not my favorite of the 2 this week, honestly. I do like the Midnight Suns, but in this, of course, the title makes total sense for a series that is kind of couched in all the dark side of the universe. So I wouldn't skip it if you want to know everything that's going on. But yeah, I like the Black Panther one this week better.
You have one on here that I can't wait till we get to it because the cover on here is amazing.
Oh.
Okay. You know how this says Critical Role Vox Machina Origins #1?
Mhm.
It is none of those things.
What?
Yeah. I thought I could tell you that this would be a good place to jump in to the Critical Role Vox Machina series. 'Tis not. It does a fine job if this is your first Vox Machina book of saying, here's who everybody is and here's kind of their big character trait. You know, like a amorous dwarf who's also a bard. Like, okay, it explains that to you, but like it doesn't do a good job of explaining who Scanlan is, right? So it's really not a great first issue if you've never read this stuff before. It's a great first issue if you're starting a new series of Vox Machina and you already understand who everyone is. That is the problem I have with this book, right? It says Vox Machina Origins. It's no one's origin. It's nothing's origin. Like, there is no origin story here. So that's a little rough. It's a little confusing. We find our team separated, and you never separate the team. They know better than that. Matthew Mercer knows better than to let you separate. Never separate the team. But they separated the team. And you have Vax and the monk, the cleric. Help me out here, Jay. Dan would be like this on it. Anyway, whose name I can't remember right now. They're off doing one thing, and the rest of the team is off doing another. They're both trying to solve the same case, but you have no idea what the case is. They don't tell you what they're trying to solve.
Pike,
Thank you. So Vax and Pike are in one place, and everybody else is another place. And Vax and Pike get caught, and the other team doesn't, and it just, like, you don't know where it's going, and you don't know why it's going anywhere, and it's just kind of a miasma of storytelling. The highest point in this book, in my opinion, is when the bear does bear things to what's Mr. Tumnus from Narnia? What kind of animal is he?
He's a fawn.
Yeah. 2 of those. And the bear does bear things to them. It's pretty great. But other than that, it's a great kind of intro issue to the story they're going to tell, but you have to have enough backstory on the Vox Machina crew to know what you're reading. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost.
Rock and roll. Okay. So this book makes it sound like the Helverine's been around before. I don't think so. Because a good introduction, if it's a fake retelling of an origin, then they got me pretty good. But it is everything that you think it is. It's but also not, because okay, so it looks like Wolverine got the penance stare, right? And that's what the book spends half of its time talking about, like how this is the second time that this has happened, and it really does kind of like lead you around to believing that maybe the person you think with the 3 claws is not the person that's there, especially when that person shows up elsewhere. You're like, wait, what? How is this possible? So it's a good first issue. Not my favorite book this week, because it does spend a lot of time kind of in character development and giving us a backstory, or maybe a fake backstory for this character. But anytime you get to the last panel of the last page, you're like, okay, well, now I have to have number 2 because I got to figure out how this happened. So it's cool that it's a character you'll want to follow around. If this character interacted in the Blood Hunt universe, it would be quite a thing. I don't know if they have plans that way, but it would fit right in.
I would have this tattooed on me. I love this cover. I love this.
And I just sent Ryan Stegman a text going, really? That's how you draw flames? We'll see what he comes back with.
They like liquid, don't they?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like flames to me. It's giving, hey, I'm trying to be Todd McFarlane, but I don't know how to be. And guys, I would not say that about any other artist, but Ryan Stegman is truly one of my good friends in this industry. I'm giving him a hard time because this is killer. So
it's always good to say that out loud so people don't think that we're...
Just know I'm not actually saying it's bad art. I'm saying I know my friend and I know he can do better, but I'm going to give him a hard time because he's on this cool book. I also told him when he did Venom that why does it look like Venom has been on steroids for 20 years and doesn't have a package anymore? So, you know, it's a long-standing rib that we've had with each other.
Ooh, Nope says the Eastman cover is dope.
Yeah, the Eastman cover. Always the Eastman covers.
Okay, so Dune House, Steve Carino, because that's exactly what I thought of when I saw the name of this one. The thing that's always gotten me about Dune is you have these like lavish, sometimes hard to pronounce names like Anirul and Irulan and Winsisha, right? You got names like that, and then you have names like Duncan, Idaho, and Leto, and Jessica. It's always a weird thing when it comes to that. But this is the 3rd issue of this. Haven't read the first 2, but it feels very much like the others, the House of Atreides, the House of all them. It feels like, and I hate saying this, but this is what it reminds me of, Game of Thrones in space. Now, granted, Dune came out years and years and years before Game of Thrones and all that stuff, but that's what it reminds me of. There's a bunch of random plot points that you'll find later aren't that random. Things will start connecting as the series continues. And I don't know, I feel like these Dune books are more for like bigger fans of Dune. They're a bit hard to get into unless you're also a fan of slow burn kind of storytelling. But, you know, if you're into that, you can still enjoy the Dune House stuff. Personally, I think these would all be better as binge books for me because I don't remember things once I've read them and put them down most of the time. So trying to remember all the plot points from previous issues, kind of hard for me to follow. Like I'd have that board from Always Sunny where it's just a bunch of ribbons and tacks trying to connect everything because I can't remember. This one, though, I will say this. For how it is written, for me not being the biggest, Dune fan on the planet, but knowing of Dune, I give this one the coveted hashtag not that bad. If you're a Dune fan, hopefully you're reading these because they are good. Even if for somebody who can't understand them most of the time, like me, I think they're good. So.
Here's the one, the Panther. Okay, so in case you didn't know, the Panther's been bit. So he's a vampire, yo. That makes it real difficult to go back to your homeland and protect them when no one really trusts you because can you be the king and also be fighting the urge to, like, fight everyone that you meet? He has not been consuming human blood, so he's not as strong as he could be, and he makes a big critical error to me, and everyone else believes so too, when he goes back to, I can't remember the name of the land where like Bast lives, their god, to go and ask for help, which he realizes is a mistake when he gets there, because he is literally supposed to be the embodiment of Bast. So that's not cool. So it takes off from there and is really, really great. It's cool to see T'Challa kind of like having this real war inside himself. His interactions with his sister, as you would imagine, are very difficult. And the art is really cool. I like seeing him in his vampire form. It's a really cool costume design and character design. So that's why I really like this one this week. I dig what they're doing through here.
Somehow, I missed number 2.
No!
And I am big mad about it. So I called my LCS today, and they found me one, so I will read it tomorrow. But I jumped in on issue 3, and I didn't really need to have read issue 2. This continues the mythos where Frozen Empire left off. If you've not seen Frozen Empire, what the heck is wrong with you? Go fix that. Frozen Empire is, I'm not going to say the second best Ghostbusters movie of all time, but it's definitely in the top 3 or 4, which is a funny thing because there are only 4 real Ghostbusters movies and there's one with, the girls. Anyway, it's definitely a top Ghostbusters movie. It's definitely in the top 5. But this continues that mythos from where it left off. And it's them becoming a better team, right? We saw at the beginning of Frozen Empire and then at the beginning of this series, they're kind of a fractured team. You have the mom and Gary, or the blonde lady and Paul Rudd, and then you have the kids, and like they have different skill levels as Ghostbusters. They're starting to come together as a team as the mom and Paul Rudd get better. I can never remember the mom's name, but Gary and the mom get better. And the kids are kind of coming into their own, and it's just all starting to gel in this issue. My big review on this one is, what is a baker's favorite part of New York City? Anybody? The Lower East Side.
Oh, my Lord. Help me.
That's my review for this book.
Thanks, Dad.
And I'll be honest, that is a much bigger plot point than I would usually give away. But because I'm not giving you any context of that plot point, it's great. I love this. I love this. I love this continuation of Ghostbusters. I really do think that McKenna Grace and Finn Wolfhard and Paul Rudd and whatever the lady who plays the mom's name is can continue this series well after Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray and Annie Potts no longer want to be a part of it. Like, they're building through the comics and through the books they're doing, or the movies they're doing, the extended universe, right? This is Mara Jade and all of the stuff that worked from the Zahn books for Star Wars, but they're doing it the right way with this. So I am in love with this book.
Oh, snap. Can you guys look really fast for me and see if this is the end of the series?
Yeah, hold on.
Because
I got it pulled up.
I mean, this could be the wrap up, but it also could be just like a very beginning of a whole thing, which is the way I like things to end. If they end, and if they aren't ending like the way they have, like it is. Oh, John, I'm dying. I hope they give me a second series of this.
Yes, this is the end.
This is one of my favorite series of all time. Okay, so it is big battle time. This brings all of our players into play, really going at it. The Red Skull has activated the Hulk, which he completely and utterly controls. There is no banner component to the Hulk as far as we can tell here. And he's been told just to like go and smash everything. He's got to destroy. Because as you remember, the Red Skull killed the president and it took over by essentially doing what really makes me afraid about what's really going on in our world right now, by basically spreading his own truth in social media, etc. And through, since he controls the press that way too, makes us distrustful of each other and of superheroes, so he can control them like puppets. So you see Cap having to really come forward, and Thor. Everybody has to do their part as Avengers here. So apparently, the only Twilight we need more of. Maybe that's true. So I will let you enjoy this series for yourself. I don't want to ruin anything for you about how it ends. Chip Zdarsky is a master. Just blows it out of the park. And the art is just... Ugh. So yeah, it's if you have not jumped into Avengers Twilight, now might be a good time to tell your comic shop that you want to get the trade, because I'm sure that's coming next. I would say this is hardcover worthy. This is the Marvel version of the awesome stuff we got in Kingdom Come, to me.
According to, well, if I'm reading some very cryptic social media posts from a certain person whose last name or his first name starts with C and rhymes with Flip,
Okay.
There may be some spin-offs.
Okay. I'll take it.
But I could also be reading more into his social media posts than he intended. So, you know, I'm just speculating.
Mm-hmm.
Sean got his first signature from Chip at Comic Palooza this weekend.
Oh, was he squeeing?
He was excited.
I would like to hear Sean squee. I'll be honest. I imagine that it's way funnier and somehow disappointing than you would imagine.
Yeah, he got silver coins signed by him. He was so excited. So excited.
Ooh.
All right. Whew, y'all. This may be the vaguest of vague I've ever been with a book. Okay. Because I did not see this coming. After ripping my heart out in the previous issue, Kyle Starks, you maniacal, magnificent genius, what are you up to? This book has turned from just a love story detective kind of book to something so Twilight Zone out of left field that would usually be jarring, but works so well in this that I couldn't even. I can't even. Kyle's just out here creating his own genres. What he did with this book. Now, for most people, they might see the big twist at the end of this, but I didn't. And I have come to the realization that Kyle Starks is now one of my favorite writers in comics. There has been nothing so far that I've read by him that I have not liked. And he has found a way to turn something that was pretty good when I first started reading it, that crushed me, into something that I hope there's more. Because the last issue says the end, but there's a question mark. I hope that there's somebody out there in chat that is reading this as well. Because I need somebody else to let me know that, am I overhyping this, or is this book just really that good?
I almost stole this from you, Jay, after getting caught up on the first four. I almost stole this from you this week. Like, you're not overhyping it. It is very, very, very good.
Like, this book has just got me feeling feelings. Okay? And when a book can do that, it's terrific. When I can remember things from a book, because I can't remember anything, and that's not anybody else's fault but my own. My memory is bad when it comes to books, but man, if you are a Starks fan or just a fan of genre bending books, get this series. I 100% recommend this book to anybody. So good. Oh,
I love the cover, just like how the lights hit in the face.
yes. Oh, okay.
Okay, you guys remember the creature of the Black Lagoon from the Black Lagoon lives. How the number one caught everyone off guard for the awesomeness, despite the dream team of Dan Waters and Ron B writing it. And I suspect that this will be one of those books that we ordered ahead of knowing that. So I would just say, like, make sure I would call tonight to your LCS and make sure that they're pulling it for you if you haven't added it to your pull box. This one, I mean, the first part of the Universal Monsters books from Skybound was the Dracula series. That was really great. But this one was a whole new level of awesomeness. And it continues in this issue. It is not the old school creature from the Black Lagoon. There's a really good backstory. The characters are dynamic. And of course, as you can see, the art is really amazing. Can you guys see what you're looking at there? It's like reflection in a pond. You're looking down past the lilies and see the creature, but in the reflection up in the sky, there's people fighting behind the camera. It's just, who thinks of this stuff? Just don't miss this series. Add the full, just add Universal Monsters from Skybound to your list. Who doesn't like monsters? Because you know what's coming. You know what all the Universal Monsters are. Just imagine what they could do with them.
Okay. This is a book for Miss Jen.
I actually picked, but because I usually pick my books not knowing what y'all's lists are. So this was one that I picked up.
Yeah, I feel like Miss Jen is going to really dig it, and I really, really dug it. This is, if it wasn't for Cute But Stabby in The Cult of the Lamb, this would be my favorite book. You have a raccoon, who is also a priest, cleric. But you know, the priest from The Exorcist is the power of Christ compels you. He's better than that guy at that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what he does. And the other priests that are his family are not down. So in this book, he strikes a deal with some less than reputable characters to help him continue his work. And so you're kind of getting to know the William of Newbury, who is the raccoon there on the cover, and kind of understanding what his work is. And he's going about it, and he's doing his job, he's doing his thing, and kind of in the guise of, I'm going to do this anyway, so just let me do it, and trying to find a way to continue doing it. Whether that be by partnering with people that he maybe ought not be, or by, using his priestiness, is the word I'm going to use, that I just made up, to change people's opinions, to change people's thoughts, to change the way people are, to let him be able to do his work and to minister/mentor to these people. It really reminds me of like Father Mulcahy from MASH.
Aww.
Where it's the pure of heart surrounded by the maybe not so pure of heart, and having to exist in both worlds, right? Really an interesting book, and it's written and drawn by Michael Avon Oeming. So it's got this cool watercolor thing to it. But it's still got real lines. If you've read Blue Book, which is also Michael Avon Oeming, you see the kind of the line work similarities, but then it feels like Andrea Moody also worked on it with that watercolor wash kind of thing that he does. And it really plays out well together. Also, animals doing people things. Literally everything is an animal doing a people thing. Miss Jen, do you have things to add because you read it too?
No, I didn't end up reading it because I saw it was on your list. So it was like, okay. I have a giant pile. So.
Okay, cool. I don't know necessarily that, Preston. But it certainly could have fit adjacent to that.
Maybe he lives in Woods End.
Yeah.
Which is another animals doing people things very seriously.
Sure.
And adorably. Grommets. This one is cool. I know that people were, I'll let you guys inside the back end of comic booking right now. So retailers often talk about books before they come out in like kind of like a speculative way. Will our customer base like them? And Remender books either have like real fire to them and everyone loves them and can't get enough of them, or sometimes they miss an audience. And that's sad because I feel like there's an audience for all of them. But this one, while the topic of skateboarding, etc., is not really, I don't live in that world, so I know that the word for part of it is a truck, and that's it. But if you know more about skating, you will really like this book. But this is really more of a awkward coming of age tale where the one main character it's clear he's new to this school and his parents have like encouraged him to like make friends, and he's really trying, right? But it feels like this school, everyone is all kind of like got their groups and are unwilling to allow anybody in and very willing to just call people terrible names, and even in front of teachers. Feels like not the best, environment to grow up in. But it's this kid just trying to find friends, and he also likes to skate. So this is him finding a person that's willing to talk to him that invites him to go skate. This person says that he's an amazing skater and shows up the skate park where the cool skaters skate, and everything goes sideways because that's the way best friend tales start. So it's really beautifully drawn. If you like this art style on the front cover, which is kind of cartoonish in the faces, but also really detailed, that is the style of the book itself. That is the art. So,
and notice who Rick Remender's co-writer is. Brian Posehn from Deadpool, and Bert from The Big Bang Theory, and the GM from Nerd Poker, and so many other things.
Yeah, the character development is the thing that always gets me in books, and this one, while I wouldn't normally say is my kind of book, I care about this kid so much now that I'll read about skating, despite the fact that skating's not my deal.
Wow.
I read the first one, so I'm dying to see what you were going to say.
Have you ever seen a pig roasted on a spit before? Right? Well, prepare to see pigmen do that to a person in the opening of this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that.
Wow. This Tim Seeley story is brutal and humorous, and it feels like its main characters are what Miguel and Tulio from Road to El Dorado did after that movie. These two kind of remind me of those characters. Now, their names are actually Deathstalker, which is not his real name. You find out later in this issue, and Jotak. But the frenemy relationship is there. This truly feels like an R-rated Road to El Dorado kind of thing. The art style in this is very old school looking, but also, oh my God, what am I thinking of? Contemporary? It's old, but it still has a little bit of new to it. If that makes any sense.
Sure.
Which with this story, it definitely works. It took me a second to realize that this was an issue number 2. because it was so easy to drop into it, the way that the story starts and everything. If I wouldn't have seen issue 2 on the cover, I wouldn't have realized it was issue number 2. It was that easy to get into. Now, I will say this: it is brutal, it is violent. There's also a naughty scene after the battle, where the two warriors ask for access not only to the Lord's kitchen, but his lady, after saving his people from the pig people. And I am really hoping that for anyone who reads this, the look on the lady's face when this gets proposed to her makes them chuckle as much as it did me, because she seemed super into it.
Bow, chicka, meow, meow.
Yeah, this feels like a hybrid of barbarian high fantasy and like Dark Ages military. I need to find issue 1 because this was a fun read. This would have been my favorite book if not for Pine and Merrimack. This would have been my favorite. This was such a good book. It also really, because it's from Vault, it's not exactly like oh my goodness. My book with the axe that I love, the name just went right out of my head. Barbaric.
Barbaric, yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But it has that in the same vein. Like these two things could exist in the same universe kind of feel to it. I really dug this one though, and I need to go back and read 1, and I will be reading this every time it's on the list from now on. Super cool book.
Just know, I don't know how not safe for work number 2 is, but number 1 is very not safe for work.
There's some shadowy bits. Some shadowy bits that you can see through the shadow. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Mark Russell. Oh, just getting me in the feels so many times. So, Batman Dark Age. Remember I told you number 1 is like, okay, well, how many times can you restart same character, the kind of similar origin, and have people be bought in? It turns out at least this one more time, because this is just stunning. Because in issue number 1, young Bruce gets thrown to the wolves. They basically sign him up for the war, trying to have him killed on the front lines and or thrown into the asylum. The board of his company, who would like to have control over it, would really like him to die. The funny thing is that the first part of this issue, you find out, despite all the stuff they put him through trying to kill him, is that they have gotten record profits, and he is not dead. So he still controls this company that it's actually doing some very sneaky, horrible things, but he's using all the money that they're making to do all good things with it. So there's other twists and turns that go on in here, including you see Superman in there in the background. You can imagine what might happen if those two get together, maybe with some more people, maybe if they got together and bought a building. So there's really fun stuff going on in this book. But also the kind of like the level of thought throughness that Mark Russell's done here for Criminal Enterprise. I hope no one bad guys read it, because you could really use this as like a pathway to ultimate badness, kind of like Avengers Twilight could too. So if you are a supervillain, don't buy this book.
Wow. Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When Miss Jen is giving a DC book praise like that, there's going to be something to it, folks.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick before we wrap up here, I wanted to mention a book that we don't get, and I don't even know how to begin to get, and I only found it because I stopped at a random LCS on my way to convention this weekend, and they had it, and I picked it up. Buddy McGill #1 came out a couple of weeks ago from Advent Comics. It came out, way back. They had a copy because this new one is coming out tomorrow, Wednesday. Came out way back in 2021. So they had these books from Advent Comics. Buddy McGill is a TSA agent. It's basically Spuds McKenzie as a TSA agent. There's a new issue of Buddy McGill out tomorrow, finally, or Wednesday, finally. Buddy must go undercover to stop a dangerous foreign organization from destroying America. Basically, Spuds McKenzie as a secret agent. Like if Buds McKenzie was Austin Powers.
Oh.
That's this book. So if you can find Advent Comics at your local comic shop, which I know a lot of shops probably aren't carrying it, it's an incredibly small publisher. Check it out.
Wow. Spuds McKenzie. I haven't heard that name in so long.
Like half the audience is like, what?
Huh?
Look it up. It was a great ad campaign.
Yes.
So. All right. Here at The Experience, it's important to us that you head into your local comic shop every chance you get. If you don't know where there's a local comic shop nearby to you, head over to comicshoplocator.com and type in the numbers of the area where you are. And it will tell you, Rich, you did hear that correctly. And yes, that is the book. But if you head over to your local comic shop, if you head over to comicshoplocator.com, it will tell you where there are comic shops nearby to you. Give them a call, check out, make sure you get their hours right. Make sure you know that everything's going to be good. Check it out. Head to your local comic shop. If you spend $5 more this week than you did last week, or $5 more than you expect to spend, you'll change somebody's day. So make sure you do that. Comic shops everywhere are struggling. Miss Jen and I got some firsthand experience with that with a local comic shop owner this weekend, who goes out of his way to make the best freaking convention on the planet, but his shop struggles because of it. So head in and support local shops, support local businesses, and buy some of these comics. I see Justin is adding a whole bunch of stuff to his pull list, stuff that he maybe had not heard of because we talked about it. If you're doing the same, please let us know. It fills our heart with joy, and we can then leverage it to publishers to get them to give us money. Anyway, to keep the experience going. No, I'm kidding, but only a little. So we will see everybody next week for more Minute to Skim It. Miss Jen is up next over on Comic Book Shopping Network, where she has tomorrow's books today. And then coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, you can kick it with Henri.
Yeah.
Who is fresh off of a fantastic Phoenix Comic-Con. So we will see everybody next time. Later on.